Okay, so Alina, and what is up with all you young people playing these really hard pieces? Is bringing the Fantasie-Impromptu, and obviously this is a very challenging passage at the end. Chopin and his codas, right? All the ballades with the craziness at the end. So what she wrote to me was that she's working on emphasizing the fifth finger melody in the right hand and shaping the beginning phrases. And then at the end, she wanted it to be more dreamlike. So I don't know if that's a good place to start. Can you start there? Like right at the top of that page? I am a firm believer that if you're working on a piece you're going to perform, you should be able to start literally anywhere. Because your errors and your memory slips are not going to happen at the end of a phrase. They're going to happen in the middle somewhere, right? So when I practice, if I have a problem on the 3rd 16th of beat 3, I start fixing it by starting on the 3rd 16th of beat 3. And then I might back up to beat 2. And then I might back up to beat 1. And then I might back up to the measure before. But I make sure that I can right on that spot. And then you've got a gazillion starting places in your music. So this is probably a different edition. So yes, that's perfect. Is that okay? I know you've just been sitting in the audience for like an hour, and now I'm like, here, play the hardest spot of this piece. Are you? Awesome. Okay, thank you. You guys are such good sports. Longer, until only you can hear it. Yeah, because you've cast a spell, right? So you want to, I've only heard one, I don't know how many thousands of times I've adjudicated, I've heard one person hold the last note for too long, one time, right? It just doesn't happen. So if you're not sure, hold it for longer. Okay, good. So I really love, I'm going to talk about, this is not at all about practicing for a moment. I love that you're bringing out the slower voice. I think you could bring out that one just a little bit more, right? Because we have this offbeat, this and then we think it's going to resolve, and we really want to hear this. We want to hear, make it after you've rolled the chord. And I would maybe even think about, sorry, you could resolve it earlier, or, play around with that a little bit, because I just think that's so cool that you did that. Okay, so this is hard for many reasons. We've got a tricky gesture. We have Chopin asking for accents on the offbeats. We're trying to create this magical sound, although I would say you could be much louder here. So play that just rip-roar loud so that you're almost, and I think this, sure, well, no, let's not. But be in your mind, you're at that fortissimo when you're still there yet, right? We haven't backed off yet. But I think your loud could be the louder. I know, and it's hard, and the piano's a little spongy sounding, and the thing is, I had a teacher who once told me, don't ever fight the piano, you'll never win. And I thought that was really good advice. But we could help a little bit. That was my workout for the day, could you tell? Okay, so try it again. Okay, good. So now the fortissimo is better, the balance is harder, right? So do something for me once. We're going to just play the octaves, and we're going to put them on the beat. So the left hand is going to play everything that's written but you're just going to play, right? And really exaggerate fortissimo piano, okay? You're just ignoring the 2/16ths on 1E or 2E.
So
You're playing just the octave. So you have G. Oh, that's okay. We're practicing. I warned you in the hall, right? I'm going to ask you to do weird things. Do just the right hand ones. And fortissimo. Good. Now put the left hand with it. Same thing. That's okay. So I would suggest this is a really good way to practice. The other thing is then you have a scaffold. So if you get a little, your fingers get a little tangled or you get a little bit confused, you know da-dee-da-dee-da, you'll be able, you can make up the stuff in the middle and nobody will be the wiser, right? So here, I'll demonstrate because I don't play this easy either. You guys pick stuff, I don't know. So if I can bring out, I'm not convincing anyone, am I? But we want, that's what we want to hear, right? And that's your memory basis, right? And you'll also notice that this, right? You'll get this connection between your melody and your harmony that will help with memory and security, right? And then you put those little noodles back in there, and that's a technical term, and your top notes will still come out beautifully, okay? So do it one more time, just humor me. I know you're practicing and this is tricky and hard, and that's fine, it's all a process. Yep. Exactly how you want them, right? Now you're going to put those little two notes in with the octave, but it's still on the beat. So, okay, so you're playing all four notes in a quarter note stack. Try it. Just like that. Yeah. Do just the right hand first. Now put it back as written and see if that top can still sing. Right? So much better. I know it feels weird and it'll take some getting used to, but they're all out there nodding because it made the biggest difference in your voicing. Okay? So these chunks, the thing is your brain wants to chunk the stuff, right? So if you find ways to create these chunks in your practice, you're actually helping it. And I have found, so we're thinking these chord chunks, and then we do a little bit of refinement of our gesture, and our brain, now you're thinking a quarter note at a time, and in the left hand, hopefully you're thinking a half note at a time, because those are all the same harmony. You've got 4 more working memory units that can be paying attention to your pedal, or your sound, or your rotation. You know, like we free ourselves up for all these other things that we have to pay attention to, right? And you guys all know the expression that love is not a pie, right? But our attention is. So we divide it, and while we're learning things, we can say, okay, a quarter of my attention is on my right hand, and a quarter of my attention is on my left hand, and a quarter of my attention is on putting these hands together, and a quarter of my attention is adding the pedal. And then your teacher says, and oh, by the way, I want all these dynamics and articulations in there. And now you've got 6 jobs, you only got 4 people, right? So then you have to figure out, how can I redivide this stuff? Well, if you play well hands together, you don't need the quarter for your left hand and the quarter for your right hand. You can give a quarter, and I'm oversimplifying, please do not report me to the cognitive scientist police, I'll be in so much trouble. But we can chunk, and I don't know if you've ever done this, where you practice and things are getting better and better and better, and then all of a sudden it's like it's worse, and you don't know what happened. And I used to get really frustrated by this, and I made a joke once. I said, it's like the little elves went in there while I was sleeping and put stuff in different drawers. And then I was reading about how our brain, as we learn, decides that we know something well enough, it can reorganize. It is literally putting stuff in different drawers, right? So they're more organized drawers, they're better drawers, but you don't know where those drawers are yet. It's like if you organized your kitchen, right now you got room for all your Tupperware lids, but you keep going to the wrong drawer for the forks. It doesn't mean the organization is worse, it just means you have to readjust. Okay, so don't be disheartened if sometimes you feel like you're practicing and I'm not sure this is getting better. Sometimes you might need to try a different approach, but sometimes the approach you're using might just need a little bit more time. And I've also found I work really hard on something and it feels like it's this much better, and the next day it's this much better, because the little elves went in and put things in better drawers. So that's also very scientific. You can quote me on that one. I totally get it.